Top 10 Couch Co-op Platformers on the Nintendo Switch. Another standout title in the indie game realm was Shovel Knight, but this one was an homage to 8-bit platformers, specifically Mega Man and DuckTales. However, this one wasn't known as a co-op game at its release. The Wii U port of the game, with the use of the Shovel Knight amiibo, you were able to unlock a 2-player co-op mode, and this works really well. I love the visuals of this game, it has excellent music, and it takes a lot of the best concepts from 8-bit platformers and really refines them and makes them feel fresh. If you haven't played Shovel Knight in co-op, definitely give it a try. Unravel 2 is a 2D puzzle platformer. It was just built around co-op gameplay. You and your friend each take control of this yarn character. You got a red one and a blue one, and you're tethered together by a long strand of yarn. This game takes a lot of communication. In order to get through any obstacle, you're going to need to work together. Sometimes you'll be swinging on the yarn while the other player holds in place. Other times you'll be pulling your character up to the next platform. And sometimes you're just going to need to be jumping in sync. This is really one of the best co-op platformers I've ever played. So if you haven't played it, definitely try it out. And it's a game that you can pretty easily pick up and play. And it's not too long, so you could probably beat it in a session or two. Micro Mages is one of my favorite modern platformers. The cool thing about this game is it was actually designed for the NES hardware, and you can get it on a real cartridge and play it on your NES. But now it's been ported to a number of home consoles, including the Nintendo Switch. This is a 4-player co-op precision platformer, and the gameplay is very polished. It feels just like a modern indie game. There's big boss fights, great level design, and then of course it's just a really great 4-player experience. This is truly one of the best games to ever come out on the NES, and an excellent addition to the Nintendo Switch library. Don't sleep on Micro Mages. Unruly Heroes. Now this is a platformer that can be played with up to 4 players co-op. It's a fantastic co-op experience that lets you and your friends team up as a colorful group of heroes on a quest to restore balance to a mythical world. The game follows the story of Journey to the West, which is a hugely influential story. If you don't know, that's what inspired the Dragon Ball series. So you play as the Monkey King and his companions. The controls are tight, there's dynamic combat, and some puzzle solving elements. The gameplay is not super difficult, but there is a decent challenge, especially in some of the later platforming sections, where precision and teamwork become more essential. I love the art style here. It kind of has like a hand-drawn watercolor look. But this is one of those games that I think went under a lot of people's radar. So if you like Rayman Legends, you'll probably enjoy this one too. Rayman Legends is a 4-player platformer. You play as Rayman, Glowbox, and a variety of other characters as you fight your way through inventive levels. This is one of those games that just has some of the tightest platforming I've ever played in any platformer, especially the music-based levels. You jump around and hit the enemies in sync with the music. This is some of my favorite game design of all time. The game is easy to pick up and play. The mechanics are all pretty simple, so anyone of any skill level can at least try the game out. But the later levels do get pretty tough. I can't say enough about Rayman Legends. I just think that it's one of the best platformers of all time. And we got Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. This originally came out on the Nintendo Wii, which is the first example of having 2-player simultaneous gameplay in a Donkey Kong Country game. So you can play as Diddy Kong and Donkey Kong, and it has the same level of precision-based platforming as those Super Nintendo classics. There's definitely a solid challenge here. The early levels are okay, but the further you get, it really becomes more of a precision platformer, where jumping and timing are essential. The Switch version is faithful to the original Wii version, just with a higher resolution and better looking visuals. Anyways, this is an excellent 2D platformer. I prefer this one over Tropical Freeze personally. Kirby's Return to Dreamland is another game that originally came out on the Wii, and this one can also be played with up to 4 players. And it's one of the best in the Kirby series. It's basically a classic 2D side-scroller featuring Kirby and his allies. You could play as Meta Knight, King Dedede, and Waddle Dee. It has some basic puzzle solving and boss fights and vibrant level designs, like you'd expect from a Kirby game. The difficulty never gets too hard here, so it's pretty accessible for younger players. But that doesn't mean that it's not worth playing for more advanced players. It's just a really polished experience. So even though it might not be super difficult, it's still just a really satisfying and fun game for anyone to pick up and play. Kirby is always a reliable source for co-op gameplay, especially when you're looking for something that's more relaxing. Sometimes I want to play a platformer that I can just enjoy and not pull my hair out struggling to get through the levels. That's what Kirby is perfect for. And I think that Kirby's Return to Dreamland is probably the best in the entire Kirby series, at least when it comes to co-op games. Kimono Heroes is a 2D platformer that can be played with up to 4 players, and this one takes clear inspiration from the 16-bit era. It looks like this could have come out on the Super Nintendo. So each player controls one of 4 animal-type heroes, each with their own unique abilities, and you go through all these colorful stages filled with enemies, bosses, and hidden secrets. This is a game with some really tight and responsive controls. I think that this is a top-tier 4-player co-op platformer, and it's one that I think just goes under a lot of people's radar. I highly recommend Kimono Heroes. Runbow is another precision-based platformer. It originally came out on the Wii U, but was then ported to other systems. But the thing that makes this one stand out is that you could play this one with up to 9 players co-op. This game is incredibly fast-paced, and the platforming becomes really difficult. But the controls are simple enough that anyone can figure it out and jump in and try it. The main gimmick of this game is that the colors are changing constantly, affecting platforms and obstacles. So you have to have really quick reflexes and coordination to survive the environment that's constantly changing. This becomes very chaotic, especially when you have more players. But the color-based mechanics add an extra layer of challenge and just make it a more unique experience. There are a number of gameplay styles here. You have a standard race mode, there's a co-op adventure mode, and a King of the Hill mode. And some of these are more competitive based. But this is another one that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, especially now. I've had a lot of fun with this game. So it's another one, I highly recommend it. But my all-time favorite is Super Mario Wonder. This one came out exclusively for the Nintendo Switch. And this is the evolution of the 2D Mario platformer that I was waiting for. I love the new Super Mario Bros. Games, but they did start to become a little bit stale, especially the art style. It just looks kind of generic. And when it comes to co-op gameplay, I think that this one is a huge step up as well. You're no longer able to push your teammates off the screen or screw them up during tricky platforming sections. So this one feels like it has more of a focus on actual co-op gameplay. I love the visuals here. It just has a really nice stylized look. Being able to play this with 4 players is a really nice experience. And I just love that they added more characters here. Players 3 and 4 don't just have to be some generic Toad anymore. You can actually play as Daisy, Peach, Yoshi, and then of course you got the Toads. But the controls are incredibly tight. There's so much creativity here. The soundtrack is definitely a step up as well. And above everything else, it's just a really fun experience. Once this game came out, I couldn't put it down. Me and my daughter just played it non-stop until we beat it. I can't say enough about Mario Wonder. It might just be my favorite Mario game of all time. It's definitely the best co-op one. So there you go, those are my top 10 favorite couch co-op platformers on the Nintendo Switch. What are your favorites? Thanks for watching.